Merci beaucoup. Wow. Wow, merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, équipe Gros Bon Sens. Merci beaucoup, équipe Gros Bon Sens. Vous me semblez être dans une très bonne forme. Oui. Évidemment, comme la plupart des Canadiens, vous êtes restés avec des amis pour 9 000 $ la nuit à un resort. C'est comme la plupart des Canadiens qui font ça, selon notre premier ministre. Mais pour être vrai, je pense qu'un tel resort de 9 000 $ la nuit ou 80 000 $ pour une semaine, ça paraîtrait loin de chez nous pour la plupart des Canadiens. Mais il me semble qu'on est bien loin de chez nous ici au Canada ces jours-ci. Parce que le chez nous auquel on était habitués comme Canadiens était le chez nous où on pouvait avoir un chez nous. Un chez nous abordable, avec de nourriture abordable, avec des chèques de paie forts dans les communautés sécuritaires. Un pays uni où les gens travaillaient ensemble pour le bien du pays au lieu d'être divisés et attaqués par leur propre gouvernement. Ça, c'est loin de chez nous. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, tout coûte plus cher. Les chèques de paie sont moins forts. Le coût de logement a doublé. La criminalité et le chaos est présent dans nos rues comme on n'a jamais vu. C'est le résultat direct des politiques de Justin Trudeau appuyées presque unanimement et 100% du temps par le Bloc, qui garde Justin Trudeau au pouvoir et qui a voté confiance en Justin Trudeau des centaines de fois dans la session d'automne. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau et l'aide qu'il a reçue du Bloc, la dette nationale a doublé et gonflé le prix de tout, avec la pire inflation depuis 40 ans. Comme conséquence de ces taxes et déficits inflationnistes, il y a 2 millions de Canadiens qui doivent aller à une banque alimentaire chaque mois. C'est un record de loin. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, 1 sur 10 Torontois doivent aller à une banque alimentaire. Un montant qui équivaut à remplir le centre Rogers 7 fois. Incroyable. C'est ça le nombre de personnes qui doivent aller à une banque alimentaire dans une seule ville au Canada. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, ces déficits et ces taxes ont augmenté le coût de la vie plus rapidement que dans 40 ans et ces financements pour les grandes bureaucraties et politiciens locaux ont gonflé le coût de logement, qui a doublé depuis son arrivée au pouvoir. En fait, le loyer à Montréal, sa ville de naissance, là où il est le député, là où il devrait livrer les meilleurs résultats, a triplé. Encore, Montréal, c'est encore pire de presque tous les autres villes dans le pays. Quand j'étais ministre responsable pour le logement, il y a 8 ans, j'ai les chiffres ici, le loyer coûtait 760 $ à Montréal. Maintenant, ça coûte 2 249 $. Triple. Ça, c'est pour 2 chambres. Les politiciens disent qu'ils ne veulent pas avoir des appartements de luxe. 2 200 $, ça devrait être un appartement de luxe. Mais ça, c'est un appartement moyen à 2 chambres. C'est le résultat direct du fait que Justin Trudeau a gonflé le prix de tout avec les déficits qui augmentent les taux d'intérêt et avec l'argent des milliards de dollars qu'il envoie aux gouvernements locaux qui empêchent la construction. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, les Canadiens ont moins d'argent pour payer ces factures exorbitantes parce que notre croissance par capita est le pire parmi tous les pays du G7. En fait, notre économie, notre PIB est en train de réduire en grandeur absolue. Et si on ajoute le fait que notre population augmente plus rapidement que dans notre histoire, le PIB par capita est en chute libre, une réduction de 4 %, un montant sans précédent à l'extérieur d'une récession. En même temps, le Bloc appuie 100 % des politiques économiques de Justin Trudeau. Les dépenses, les augmentations de taxes, le financement des bureaucrates, les politiques qui empêchent les projets en ressources naturelles, le Bloc appuie tout ça. C'est seulement le Parti conservateur, un parti de gros bon sens, qui offre une alternative. Hier, j'étais à Toronto. J'ai rencontré une femme de 28 ans qui a fait le calcul que ça va prendre jusqu'à l'âge 40 ans avant de pouvoir mettre une mise de fonds pour une maison. Elle avait partagé cette histoire quelques mois quand j'étais là à cet aéroport, mais c'est encore pire maintenant parce qu'elle vit avec ses parents et la famille en total doit dépenser 16 000 $ de plus pour leur hypothèque à cause des hausses d'intérêt que les déficits inflationnistes de Justin Trudeau ont causés. Il n'en vaut pas le coût de nourriture, il n'en vaut pas le coût de l'essence, il n'en vaut pas le coût de logement après 8 ans. Et ça coûte cher voter pour le Bloc. Les communautés sont maintenant en chaos avec la criminalité qu'on n'a jamais vue dans notre histoire. J'ai rencontré un jeune homme à North Bay qui est venu à mon événement. Il a dit « J'aime pas les politiques, j'ai jamais voté, ça m'intéresse pas les politiques, je suis ici juste pour demander quelque chose. Je veux pouvoir emmener mes enfants à un restaurant au centre-ville sans me faire poigner dans le visage. Parce que le danger dans les petites villes, là où on ne barrait même pas les portes il y a 8 ans, est incroyable. Les politiques qui libèrent les mêmes criminels, une fois après l'autre, ont causé cette augmentation de criminalité. Et le Bloc a voté pour ça. En même temps qu'ils veulent bannir des armes de chasse des Canadiens qui suivent les lois. Ça n'a pas de bon sens, mes amis. Mais la réalité, c'est que le Canada n'était pas comme ça avant Justin Trudeau et ça ne va pas être comme ça après Justin Trudeau. Dans les prochaines élections, les Canadiens auront un choix entre une coalition coûteuse du Bloc et Justin Trudeau qui augmente vos taxes et vos impôts, qui enlève votre argent, qui punit votre travail, qui double le coût de logement et qui libère la criminalité dans vos rues, ou un parti qui est basé sur le gros bon sens, qui va couper vos impôts, bâtir de logements, réparer le budget et stopper le crime. Celles sont nos priorités conservatrices pour la séance du Parlement. Et je répète, couper les impôts, bâtir des logements, réparer le budget et stopper le crime. C'est les priorités des Canadiens et celles sont les priorités conservatrices de gros bon sens. Oui. Et nous avons un plan de gros bon sens pour accomplir ces résultats. Un plan basé sur le gros bon sens. Premièrement, on va annuler la deuxième taxe carbone pour que les Québécois puissent payer moins pour On va éliminer le gaspillage, comme la Banque de l'infrastructure de 35 milliards de dollars, le Fonds vert d'1 milliard de dollars dont 15 a déjà été impliqué dans la corruption. On va éliminer le ArriveCan App, l'application ArriveCan, un grand gaspillage de 54 millions de dollars. On va couper dans des consultants externes qui coûtent maintenant 1 400 dollars par famille canadienne. Une augmentation de 100 depuis l'arrivée au pouvoir de Justin Trudeau. On va couper ça et mettre le travail au sein de la bureaucratie pour un coût beaucoup moins élevé. Et on va mettre en place une loi de gros bon sens qui s'appelle dollar pour dollar. On va gérer les finances comme les mères monoparentales et les petites entreprises. Si on augmente par $1 ici, on va trouver une économie là pour que le coût actuel et le coût net est zéro. Ça va forcer une discipline dans nos finances et ça va nous permettre d'encore d'équilibrer le budget comme les conservateurs ont fait en 2015 pour réduire les taux d'intérêt et l'inflation sur le dos des Canadiens. On va aussi rendre le travail payant en coupant les impôts pour que les Québécois et les Canadiens ramènent plus chez eux. On va inciter des municipalités de permettre davantage de construction. Considérons quelque chose. Les agences immobilières sont payées pour le nombre de maisons qu'ils vendent. Les constructeurs sont payés pour le nombre qu'ils bâtissent. Les bureaucrates et politiciens municipaux devraient être payés pour le nombre de maisons qu'ils permettent. Et c'est comme ça que notre plan de gros bon sens fonctionne. Premièrement, on va demander que les municipalités augmentent la construction permis par 15 pour obtenir les financements du gouvernement fédéral. S'ils dépassent ce but, ils vont recevoir davantage. Et s'ils n'ont pas de succès, ils vont avoir moins. Donc, au Québec, il y a un temps pour que l'argent passe par le gouvernement du Québec. Il y a des dizaines ou des douzaines de conditions qu'impose Justin Trudeau sur le Québec dans ces ententes-là. Nous allons avoir une formule très simple, pas des conditions, une formule très simple, que les villes qui bâtissent plus recevront plus. Ils recevront davantage d'argent. Ça va être bon pour les villes comme Saguenay, comme Trois-Rivières, comme Victoriaville, qui ont libéré les constructeurs de bâtir davantage de maisons. Et ça va inciter les plus grandes villes de faire pareil parce que les Québécois ont besoin de plus de maisons, plus d'appartements et les conservateurs vont travailler main avec le gouvernement du Québec pour le permettre à le faire. Les vrais criminels seront en prison. On va pas permettre des récidivistes qui ont fait des douzaines de crimes d'être libérés sous caution ou dans leur salon pour regarder le Netflix avec la libération conditionnelle. Oui, on va aider les jeunes qui ont fait une erreur de faire la réhabilitation, mais les vrais criminels récidivistes qui causent le chaos dans nos rues seront en prison. On ne va pas bannir des armes de chasse, on va renforcer notre frontière. Et au lieu d'avoir un grand sommet sur le vol d'auto, on va en fait régler le problème en mettant les voleurs en prison et en renforçant nos frontières et nos ports pour empêcher l'exportation illégale de nos voitures. Donc, j'ai dit qu'on est loin de chez nous après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Un homme qui n'en vaut pas le coup, qui n'en vaut pas la criminalité et qui n'en vaut pas le pays qu'on aime. Et c'est vrai. Donc, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire être chez nous au Canada? Être chez nous au Canada, c'est de pouvoir gagner un grand chèque de paie ou pension qui achète de bonne nourriture, essence et logements abordables dans des rues sécuritaires. C'est comme ça que le Canada a toujours été. C'est comme ça que ça va l'être après qu'un gouvernement de gros bon sens ait permis de faire un bon travail comme serviteur de ce pays. C'est ça le gros bon sens. C'est ce que nous allons faire. Donc, faisons-le. Merci. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, chers amis. So everyone looks like they're in great shape. You're all just back from your $9,000 a night stay with friends, like most Canadians, right? That's what our Prime Minister said. Can you imagine that? He said, like most Canadians, I stayed with friends. An $89,000 vacation for free from friends. Wow, geez, I think I have the wrong friends. Actually, I have the best friends in the world. And they'll let me sleep on the couch once in a while if necessary. But I think most Canadians would feel a long way from home if they had an $89,000 vacation, wouldn't they? But everything feels a long way from home right now, doesn't it? You know, when people stop me on the streets, they tell me they don't recognize the country. I met a lady who immigrated here from Punjab just yesterday at the airport, and she said to me, "Where is my Canada? What happened to this place?" Used to be that she lived safe in her neighborhood. She could earn a decent living, buy a house, raise her kids with nutritious food. But now she's worried she might lose her home altogether. And she didn't say so, but I think that she's eating at a food bank. That was only minutes after I spoke to a 28-year-old. I had previously seen her as a CATSA screener a few months ago. She then told me she had done the calculation based on her monthly savings that it was going to take her well into her 40s to make her first down payment on a home. And of course, let's be honest, she said her biological clock is ticking. She wants to start a family, something that's not easy living in her parents' basement. Today, though, her problem was different and new, but related. Not only is she living in her parents' basement, but she has to help the family pay the mortgage, which has gone up by $15,000 a year. So now, not only is she worried about whether she'll ever own a home, she's worried that her parents, with whom she lives, might not be able to keep that home. That's life after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything costs more, with the worst inflation in 40 years. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau promising debt was consequence-free because interest rates were low, they've shot up in the fastest relative terms in Canadian history, and they are a direct result of his deficit spending. After 8 years of Trudeau, work doesn't pay. You make it, he takes it. After 8 years of Trudeau, housing costs have doubled. The needed rent has doubled. The needed down payment for your average home, doubled. The average mortgage payment for a new home, doubled. And before we go again blaming the rest of the world for some phenomenon that is out of his control, let us be very clear about this. The housing inflation in Canada is the worst or very close to the worst of any developed nation. Housing costs have risen 40% faster than incomes under Trudeau, which is by far the worst in the G7. It is the second worst in the OECD. It is double the OECD average. Many OECD countries have actually seen housing affordability improve over the last 8 years. This is not a problem that has been dropped on Justin Trudeau's lap. It is a problem that he created with his inflationary spending and by continually building up the local bureaucracies that block home building. He has made us the second slowest place to get a building permit on planet Earth, and it now costs as much as $1.3 million in governmental red tape and taxes alone for a newly built home in Vancouver, which, by the way, incidentally, is the third most overpriced housing market in the world, comparing average incomes to average house prices. We now have rental increases in Montreal, his home city, of 200%, triple. It used to cost about $750 to rent a place in Montreal when I was housing minister 8 years ago. Now it costs $2,200. This is astonishing. And his solution at his last big caucus retreat was to name media darling Sean Fraser to come to the rescue, to bombard the country with photo ops. And what has happened? Building has gone down by 7%. We're actually building fewer homes with Sean Fraser than we were building with the previous nameless, incompetent minister that Trudeau had in charge of that file. And so the problem gets worse and worse. Housing is in decline. In 2022, we built fewer homes than we built in 1972, even though our population had more than doubled. That is the direct result of the bureaucracy that Justin Trudeau has built up over so many years. And now, people who can't pay their rent are forced to go to food banks. 2 million people now going to food banks. 2 million, a record-smashing number. In fact, in Toronto, 1 in 10 people are relying on food banks. The number of people eating at food banks in Toronto today would fill the Rogers Centre 7 times. That is life in Toronto after 8 years of Justin Trudeau winning every single seat in that city. Toronto, what have you got for voting for Justin Trudeau? Your streets are crawling with crime and chaos. You can't afford the rent. There's division like never before in our streets. Places of worship are under attack. People who've lived there all their lives no longer feel at home. The big cities that voted for Justin Trudeau are suffering the most because of his disastrous and costly policies. You know, look at the crime. Violent crime is up 40%. The number of overdose deaths is up 200%. 40,000 Canadians have lost their lives to overdoses after 8 years of Justin Trudeau's policy of decriminalizing crack and heroin and giving out tax-subsidized opioids that have heroin-level potency. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, we have our young people at greater risk than ever before to fall into a life of drugs. Formerly peaceful neighborhoods are now dangerous. When I was in North Bay the other day, a man came to my town hall. He said, "I'm not interested in politics. I don't even typically vote. I just have one simple request. I want to take my kids to the restaurant in the center town of North Bay without getting stabbed in the face." That was his request. In small northern Ontario towns, people used to leave their doors unlocked before Justin Trudeau brought in catch and release. And yet, there's been the NDP betraying Northern Ontario and Vancouver Island and the British Columbia interior, selling out their people, selling out the working class to support his policies of catch and release, of banning hunting rifles, of quadrupling the carbon tax and doubling housing costs. That is the misery that they have helped bring about. And is it getting any better? In fact, our economy is now shrinking in absolute terms. In per capita terms, it has shrunk in all of the last 6 quarters. We have had the worst per capita GDP growth of any G7 country, meaning smaller paychecks and more desperation for our people. Investment per worker is in drastic decline, meaning that American workers get almost twice the investment of tools and technology of an average Canadian worker. And our jobs move south of the border and into the hands of more powerful economy where our workers lose out. But the good news is, life wasn't like this before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone. Canadians are hardworking, decent, honorable people. They don't have to live like this. They don't have to give up the things they used to take for granted, like affordable food and homes in safe neighborhoods. They don't have to give up those things for the incompetence and ego of one man. We can do better. And we will do better with a common sense plan. And we're going to give people a very simple choice in the next election. On the one hand, you will have a costly coalition of Justin Trudeau and the NDP that take your money, tax your food, punish your work, double your housing costs, and unleash crime and chaos in your community. Or you can have the common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. That's the choice. And that is what we will fight for in this session. Let me be very clear, and let me say it again and again. Conservatives will fight throughout this session to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime. Is everybody in this room ready to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime? And we all know that axing the tax, building the homes, fixing the budget, and stopping the crime requires a common sense plan. And it just so happens that's exactly what we have, right? A common sense plan that will bring home lower prices by axing the carbon tax, a tax that Justin Trudeau and the NDP want to quadruple to 61 cents a litre. We will take it off entirely, everywhere. We'll start this session with a relentless focus on passing Bill C-234 to take the carbon tax off our farmers. We know that lowering the carbon tax not only saves us money when we gas up and heat our homes, but we take that tax off the farmers and truckers who bring our food we can afford to eat again. We're going to cap government spending and cut government waste to balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. How do we do that? Well, we get rid of the $35 billion infrastructure bank that has not completed a single solitary project. The $1 billion green slush fund, 15% of whose funds are already identified as having been misappropriated and mismanaged by corruption, something that the bureaucrats say resembles the sponsorship scandal. We'll get rid of the $54 million ArriveCan app. We'll cut back on the $21 billion of external consultants. That works out to $1,400 in taxes for every family in Canada just to pay for external consultants, 100% increase in 8 years. We will get rid of that waste, and we will bring the work inside the bureaucracy at a lower price to Canadians. We will bring in and we will cut back on the money that is sent out of this country to other places. Trudeau's been funding foreign terrorists and dictators, calling it aid. He gave money to UNRWA, right? We warned what would happen if you gave money to UNRWA. We cut the funds for UNRWA when we were in government. And what happened? Justin Trudeau funded the same organization whose members helped carry out the genocidal October 7th attack. Justin Trudeau should be ashamed of himself for the way that he has spent our money to fund this terrorist organization. And we will not only cut back that, we will stop funding the Beijing-controlled Asian Infrastructure Bank. We should be building pipelines and roads in Canada, not in Asia. And we will cap government spending using a common sense law. It comes from single mothers and small businesses. It's called the dollar for dollar law. If we bring in $1 more of spending in one place, we will by law be required to find $1 of savings somewhere else to pay for it. This is how families budget and pay for things. And that's why families understand that budgets don't balance themselves. It's common sense. This law will allow us to cap spending while the economy and the taxpayer catches up so that we can balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates on our people. And our people deserve to have their work rewarded. We need to end the war on work. where a mother of 3 who earns an extra dollar loses 80 cents to clawbacks and taxes. That is outrageous. No wonder we have a hard time getting more workers. We punish work. A common-sense Conservative government will lower income tax and reform clawbacks so people bring home more of each dollar they earn, and hard work once again pays off in this country. We will bring home powerful paychecks for our brilliant immigrants. We've had a red seal in the trades for 70 years. Every province has accepted a national standard for the trades in order to allow people to prove their qualifications and travel across the country working freely. In the professions, however, our brilliant immigrants and our Canadian-born kids who study medicine abroad are shut out. The saying in Toronto these days is, if you have a heart attack, don't call 911, call an Uber, because the likelihood is the driver is a doctor, right? Our common sense plan is to have a national merit-based test that people can take in a couple of months so they can prove they're qualified, get to work, and we can have more doctors, more nurses, better paychecks for our people. And speaking of paychecks, we're going to remove the government gatekeepers that were created by C-69 that blocks our resource sector. We're going to bring it home. We're going to bring it home. Justin Trudeau wants the lithium for electric cars to be mined and refined by China, burning coal. He wants the oil to come from Saudi Arabia and Venezuela, on which he just recently lifted sanctions as they block key candidates for running in that election. He wants the paycheck. He wants, instead of paychecks going to Canadian plumbers, Canadian pipe fitters, Canadian trades workers, he wants the money to fund Putin's war machine by directing natural gas sales to that country. Common sense Conservative governments will approve our resource projects. We will repatriate the production and paychecks to this country. We will turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people in this country. Bring it home. 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 We're going to bring it home, my friends. We're going to bring it home to our people in this country once again, and we're going to bring homes to our people. We have the fewest homes per capita in all of the G7, even though we have by the far the most land to build on. This is insane. You know, it used to be the average mortgage payment on a brand new home was $1,400 when I was the minister. Now it's $3,500. The average rent, $900 when I was minister. Now it's about $2,000. This is insane. Our housing is now 25 to 45% more expensive than the Americans, even though they have 8 times the population on a smaller landmass. Why? Bureaucracy blocks home building. It now takes 7 years to get a building permit. This adds enormous costs to each built home. $1.2 million for a new home built in Vancouver is just government. It's the biggest cost, more than land, labor, and lumber. Our common sense plan is going to bring results-based financing. Realtors are paid for the number of homes they build. Excuse me, realtors are paid for the number of homes they sell. Builders are paid for the number of homes they build. I want the local bureaucracies to be paid for the number of homes they permit. I want them to be incentivized every day in every way to free up land and speed up permits so that our builders can build. We will require cities permit 15% more home building per year as a condition of getting financing from the federal infrastructure programs. They beat the target, they get a bonus. They miss the target, they pay a fine. We'll require every federally funded transit station have high-density apartments all around and even on top, so seniors and students live next to the bus and train. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings, thousands of acres of federal land to build, 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 and we will require CMHC-approved financing for apartment complexes in 2 months, not 2 years. If the executives don't hit the target, by law, they will be fired. Common sense. Those homes will be in safe neighborhoods. We will end Justin Trudeau's catch-and-release system, which has unleashed crime and chaos in our communities. He has allowed the same 40 violent offenders to be arrested 6,000 times in Vancouver because they were released within mere minutes. The criminal is out before the police do the paperwork these days. We're going to stop the crime by stopping the criminals. Very simple. The root cause of crime is criminals. Put the criminals in jail, you have less crime. It will be jail, not bail. Jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders. We will bring in treatment and recovery to bring home our loved ones drug-free. Yes, bring them home drug-free. Now, that's a hopeful message, because we love our brothers and sisters who suffer from this illness, and we want to help them overcome the illness and have good lives, raising families, building our economy. That is the compassionate and the right thing to do. And the right thing to do as well is to stand on the side of the law-abiding, licensed firearms owners who are statistically proven to be the least likely to commit a crime with a gun. We will reverse Trudeau's ban on our sport shooters and our hunters, and we will instead go after the real gun criminals. We will reinforce the borders, and we will inspect and scan the shipping containers to stop our automobiles from being shipped out of this country to faraway places by thieves and criminals. You know, I know I've gone on too long. I just want to tell one quick story. One quick story. So I'm in Brampton. We sit down with these business leaders. They come in. The guy says, I wake up in the morning, my car's stolen. So the good news is I put an air tag in it. He says, so I followed the air tag, and it took me all the way to a rail yard. So he jumped the fence, and he followed the app on his phone. And he got to a shipping container that was on a train, and he said, well, there's my car. It's in that shipping container. Well, some authorities came running over, and he said, oh, thank God you're here. You were there up front for this. He said, thank God you're here. You can help me get my car out of that shipping container. And they said, no. You're not supposed to be here. We're charging you a fine. And then, as he was being assessed the fine, the rail cars started moving. And they went to Montreal. The shipping container got on a boat and was shipped off to the Middle East, so he lost his car and paid a fine for trying to get it back. Another guy the same day told us, you were there for this too, he got up in the morning, his car was gone. So he called 911, and they said, well, we're not going to be there for a while because it's a very busy day in Brampton. And he's looked out the window, and he said, they're back, they're stealing my second car. And so he says, well, I'm going to go out and get them. He said, no, don't do that. Well, then you come here now and stop them. They said, no, we've got so much going on today. It's going to be 45 minutes before we arrive. Just let them take the car. That's how insane it is. But good news is Justin Trudeau's holding a summit, a big summit. There's going to be another meeting. Thank God. Politicians and bureaucrats and lobbyists will all come together. They'll send you the bill for their hotel rooms. Don't worry. There's a summit happening. My friends, we don't need another summit. We need a common sense plan to end the theft and stop the crime, and that is what Conservatives will do. We're going to reverse the censorship law. We're going to stand up for the freedom. We're going to hold this government accountable for illegally taking away our civil rights in this country. We're going to live in a country, you know, I said we're a long way from home, and we are. It's a very long way from home in only 8 years of Trudeau. So it's easy to forget how good things were and how much better they can be. So let's paint the picture of what home looks like. Home is seniors having reliable retirements that buy them affordable food, able to carry their groceries safely down the street, walking past children who are able to play openly in the neighborhoods with their parents only worried about getting them bathed into bed on time, not worried about their safety or whether they'll have a roof over their head. Home is a young person getting their degree or certificate, knowing that their hard work will soon mean they and their true life will have a roof over their head and a place to start their family. Home is a place that judges people based on their work and their merit, not their race or their connections to government. Home. Home is a place where government is servant and not master, where the people are in charge and the leaders have the humility to do the job for them. Home is a place where the government minds its own business and does its basic job well, while allowing free people to fulfill their full potential. Home is common sense, the common sense of the common people united for our common home. Your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home. Thank you. Thank you.